Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/OhNoConsequences. As per usual, I'll be reading you the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Cross-posted from r/Am I the asshole? What a shocker. Am I the asshole for reporting my sister's boyfriend to his job after he pranked me with fake eviction papers? Oh my god. I feel like the definition of prank has greatly gotten away from us as a society. Throwaway account because my sister follows my main. Okay, so I feel this blew up way more than I expected, and now my sister is pissed at me. I, 26 female, live in an apartment complex my dad owns. I pay reduced rent, but it's still a legal lease. I have a contract, etc. I work full-time and handle my own bills, so it's not like I'm just mooching my dad just wanting to help me save while I get through grad school. For context, I'm in my second year of a master's program in social work. I work part-time at a crisis shelter, and honestly, things have been stressful. A lot of what I do is literally helping people avoid eviction, so that might help explain why this hit me so hard. My sister, Emma, 28 female, has been dating Nick, 30 male. Fake names used for obvious reasons, for about a year. He's one of those guys who thinks he's the funniest person in the room, but mostly just makes people uncomfortable. Weird jokes that just aren't tasteful, pranks, and he thinks of himself as an alpha male type. Trust me, I wish I was kidding. He has done stupid pranks in the past too. One time he swapped out his coworker's decaf coffee for regular as a joke, and the guy had a full-on panic episode at work. Apparently, he had a heart condition. The man reported him to HR, and Nick just laughed it off and said everyone was just too sensitive, and that it was a harmless prank. Not too sure why HR didn't do more, seeing that the coworker had a literal health condition that could have been worsened by his harmless prank. Nick came over a few weeks ago while my sister was helping me move some furniture. I left them alone in my living room for maybe 10 minutes while I ran to get coffee for all of us. When I had come back with our drinks, Emma and Nick went quiet. I was a little concerned, but my sister said it was nothing. Emma and I were moving this crazy heavy dresser my grandma had gifted me, and Nick had made a comment like, "If you just got off your lazy ass, you wouldn't have to take people's leftovers." I looked at my sister, shocked, like, what the fuck? She just told him to knock it off. He just shrugged and went off into the living room. A couple days later, I went to check my mail and see an envelope in my mailbox. It's an official notice of eviction that looked pretty convincing. My heart stopped. I thought maybe I missed some clause in the lease or something happened to my dad. I started to freak out and was crying. I called my dad in a panic. He was just as confused and asked me to send pictures. He said he didn't know anything about it and hadn't authorized anything like that. For a while, I honestly thought about all sorts of possibilities. Maybe some stalker or random jerk found out where I lived and was trying to scare me. Or maybe there was some kind of error. But something I did notice when I inspected the letter again, I had seen it was sent out with the same company Nick works for. A day or two later, I brought it up while getting drinks with my sister and Nick, along with a mutual friend of ours. The second I mentioned the envelope and my worry that someone could be messing with me, I noticed Nick starting to act a bit weird. He stopped making eye contact and engaging in conversation and started fidgeting with his phone. My sister had also gone quiet. I kept thinking about that moment in my apartment and how odd it was, plus the company that had served me matching up with Nick's job, and how surprisingly unfazed Emma was when I told her about the eviction notice. Eventually, I had pulled her aside from the rest of the group and had asked if Nick had anything to do with it. After some hesitation, she admitted it was him. According to my sister, she didn't agree with it, and Nick thought the prank would be funny. Like take this as a lesson not to rely on daddy's help forever. He apparently thought he was being funny and giving me some motivation. I was shocked, nonetheless. I was mad at my sister for even letting it go on, and Nick for being so insensitive. Who in their right mind would find this funny? Which, it is crazy, because again, I pay rent, I work, and my dad offered the apartment to me because I help manage the property when he's out of town. Here's the part that really angered me. Nick had known I've been struggling. He's heard me talk to my sister about burnout, about feeling overwhelmed with work and school. He's literally sat across from me at dinner while I vented about clients at the shelter being scared of eviction. This is where I might be a bit of an asshole. Sorry, darling, at this point in time you can't be an asshole. Nick works in property management. Like, it's literally his job to handle leases, evictions, inspections, etc. So this wasn't just some random prank. He had used actual template formatting from his company to make it look real. I was livid. My dad was too. After thinking about it for some time, I reported him to his company's ethics hotline. I sent them photos and explained what happened. Well, they took it seriously. He was fired for inappropriate use of power and other pranks I guess he had done. Now my sister and Nick are blaming it on me. My sister is saying I ruined his career over a joke. My mom is begging me to apologize because he was just trying to be funny. And Nick has anxiety now. Fuck you, Nick. I get that maybe I should have just yelled at him or confronted him directly, but honestly, I was worried if I hadn't reported him now, what other pranks could he have done using his job as a dumb joke? He had given me a severe panic attack with his prank, made me question my housing stability, and forged documents that looked extremely real. Just to prove a point, all while knowing I was already struggling. Now, my mom and sister are saying I took it too far and made it a work thing. My brother did take my side in this, saying, if you hadn't have done it, I would have. And he agrees that he is the one who took it too far. I just want this whole thing to be over with, and dealing with this crap from my family plus my school/work life has really taken a toll on me. I just want to know if I'm crazy or not in thinking that reporting him wasn't a mistake. Thank you for listening to my hopefully not too long ramble. I just need some advice here. Oh no, consequences of my actions, oh yeah. Fuck you, Nick. I unfortunately have the unique circumstance of having a foreclosure weaponized against me. So I know what that stress feels like, what it does to your mind. The stress of not knowing if you're going to be able to have housing next month. The stress of not even wanting to clean because why the fuck even bother? The stress of not even wanting to do basic upgrades to the vocal booth because it's not even going to fucking matter in a month from now. Just the compounding anxiety of not knowing if you're going to have to pack up your entire life and find somewhere new to go. Because someone weaponized something against you. Which, unfortunately, this is all entirely very public on my end. But still, this isn't a fucking prank, and I've talked about this multiple times. Pranks are meant to confuse and bewilder. They're not meant to cause harm, whether physical or psychological. Nick is fucking lucky it ended with just him losing his job. Especially with the other quote-unquote pranks he was doing. He's goddamn lucky he hasn't had a lawsuit slapped on his table for the fact that he literally had food tampering and could have killed one of his coworkers. Now, as a caffeine shill myself and as someone who fucking loves caffeine and needs it to literally survive, I also understand that not everyone can have caffeine, which is also why I purposely partnered with a company that has caffeine-free products. And that by not choosing to have a regular coffee, that's not you being sensitive or however the fuck Nick decided to put it after causing a prank like that. Nick got a healthy taste of what his personal responsibility looks like and what his actions can actually do. If you go and forge documentation from your company as a quote-unquote prank, no matter how serious it is, which in this case, pretty fucking serious because it was a forged eviction notice. Like, I cannot stress how lucky Nick is that it start and stopped with him losing his job. And as a final note, I just love the fact that all the blame is placed on OP for reporting his quote-unquote harmless prank, when no, the fault of the matter does not rely on OP for reporting it, it's on Nick for being the one who drafted a forged eviction notice. Here's a fun prank idea for Nick. Tie bricks to his feet and threaten to push him over a bridge. Dude, it's just a prank. Why are you crying, you sensitive little baby? It's just motivation. What's wrong with you? God, so sensitive. Cross-posted to r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for not telling my ex his passport was revoked and causing him to miss his flight? My ex and I have been divorced for 2 years. We have 2 kids, 8 male, 5 female. Everything was great until our daughter was born, and then it's like a switch flipped, and he was a completely different person. I held out for as long as I could, but when he began an affair, I filed for divorce. He fought me every step, and it took over a year to finalize. During the divorce, I was awarded primary custody. He was ordered to pay support, which he has never done. I don't need it, but it would be nice to have it to save for the kids, so I did sign up for enforcement. I don't badger him about it. I know to him it's a way to try to get me to talk to him. I just let enforcement do their thing. Since he's so far behind, they've suspended just about everything they can. They send notices to him when this happens, but I'm sure he doesn't open them. I'm a first-generation American, and most of my extended family still lives abroad. My grandmother recently passed away earlier this year, and I decided I wanted to visit my family with my kids and see her resting place. X and I had some back and forth because I need permission from him to leave the country. He agreed, but made a point to tell me that he feels now is a good time to take a vacation and that he was always planning to visit my family's country. I was already anticipating this because following us is something he does every time I take the kids on a trip. My lawyer drafted a document to be signed and notarized that I was being given permission to take our kids out of the country for the specific dates. He also included a clause that he has up until 72 hours prior to the day of travel to revoke his permission. He agreed. The day arrives for us to leave, and I get to the airport with the kids 3 hours before our flight. Things go smoothly, and I take the kids to a diner to grab some breakfast. X arrives much later, and as we're finishing up, I get a call from him. Turns out his passport was revoked due to lack of child support payment. He was denied at check-in, and there's no way he can get his passport reinstated without paying his arrears in full. He said that since he can't go, he no longer gives me permission to take them. I reminded him that we're past the 72 hours for him to deny my travel request. He said that he was going to inform an officer that I was trying to kidnap his children. I told him to do whatever he felt was necessary. Officers did show up at the gate to figure out what was going on, but I had the notarized agreement with me, so they sent us on our way. He kept spamming my phone nonstop until we got on the plane, where I was able to turn it off and get some peace for the flight. While we were in the air, he called my brother to complain. We met through him and they're still friends, and I've now been given an earful about how cruel it was for me to continue with the trip knowing he wouldn't be able to follow us, and that I didn't tell him on purpose. My mother told him to stay out of it, and that it's no longer my responsibility to remind him to open his mail, but some extended family agree with my brother. I don't think I'm the asshole for continuing our trip, but I'm questioning whether I'm the asshole for not giving him a heads up that he should check his passport. I didn't know it was revoked for sure, but I suspected. Am I the asshole? Edit to add because I keep seeing this and I can't keep up with the comments. He can absolutely afford child support. He's self-employed, hence no garnishment unfortunately, but does well. Him not paying is solely a control tactic. He was not happy about the divorce. Now he does whatever he thinks will punish me for going through with it. That includes purposely withholding support. However, I make decent money, enough to pay bills, put a little savings away for the kids, and take them to do fun stuff a couple times a year. So it really doesn't affect me. He knows that the money will go right to the kids' savings accounts, but expects me to beg him for it. Eventually it'll catch up to him and he'll have to pay it some way or another. It's just him prolonging the inevitable and making things more difficult for himself. Also, I don't know why this isn't clear, at least for one person that keeps falsely stating it over and over on different comments, but we are not going on vacation together. At all. Nothing was planned together. This was solely a trip for me and the kids. The document stated it was for me and the kids, and that I would be taking full responsibility for them. It was not, and never was, a "we are taking the kids on vacation." That was made extremely clear to him, and he understood. So him being unable to leave the country for his vacation had absolutely no bearing on our trip, as they were two distinctly separate travel arrangements. Oh no, I didn't pay child support and now my passport's been revoked. Oopsie whoopsie, my control tactic backfired. Also, I 100% feel what OP's dealing with where one person misinterprets the story and goes to every comment commenting about their interpretation when they just misheard or misunderstood the wording in it. God, I feel that. I've been there, I've seen people in my audience be there, it happens. But yeah, it's not OP's responsibility to inform her ex as to what's in his mail. If he's not opening the letters that's informing him, hey, your passport's been revoked, that's on him. Because those letters, by the way, are pretty much marked in big writing on the front of the envelope exactly what's going to happen if you don't respond to this. At least in Colorado, that's what they do. I only know this because when my ex was essentially toll evading and had, I think, upwards to almost $1,000 worth of unpaid toll fines, I kept getting like mail that in big red letters they said threat of license suspension. So that was that was fun. The minor heart attack of seeing that, then, freaking out going, oh God, and then seeing who it's addressed to and going, oh, yay. Cross-posted from r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for not checking on my dad's pregnant girlfriend when she was in the hospital while he was out of town? My dad and I, 17 male, don't have the greatest relationship and never really had. It was one of the reasons my parents divorced, and he was always very emotionally distant with me. That hasn't really changed. He started dating Mana 2 years ago, and they're expecting a baby together. Her pregnancy has been really complicated, so she was hospitalized several weeks ago, and she hasn't come out of the hospital since. I don't know any details other than that. My dad had to work out of town for 2 weeks last month, which isn't unusual for him. He's done it almost my whole life. He wanted me to check on Mana and visit her while he was gone. I told him up front I wasn't doing that, but he told me it was important and I should want to check on the baby at least. But I didn't want to check on Mana or the baby, so I didn't check on her. After 2 days, Dad called to yell at me and I hung up on him. He ended up cutting his work trip short because Mana went into premature labor. Dad expected me to go be with her until he got there and I refused. He got there and they stopped it, but then my dad turned his attention to me. The last 3 or 4 weeks are the most he's ever contacted me. Like, ever. And it's all to berate me for not checking in on her and going to her when he asked me to. He asked me what kind of son I was, and I told him I'm a good son to the mom who was a real parent to me, and a disinterested son to the disinterested dad in my life. I think Mana had the baby since because she went into labor again. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I think so, and he's still trying to scream at me for not visiting. Am I the asshole? So basically, the OhNoConsequences here are, if you're going to be an absent father, don't expect your son to be present when you ask him to. I can't even imagine being in OP's position that the only time his father is actually contacting him the most in his life is to berate him because OP's not bending to his father's every beck and will. I really hope Mana knows what she signed up for because chances are, child number 2 is going to have another absent father in their life. And if I'm going to put on the tinfoil hat, I think that there's a chance that the father was going to try to parentify the son here and try to just use him to fill the inevitable gap that he was going to leave. He only contacted his son when he would have been of use to him, and the use in this case would be the father that I can't be, which is why the son is getting the most contact with his father that he's received in God knows how long. Cross-posted from r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for refusing to lend my cousin money to cover the rent on a house she insisted on renting, even though I told her she couldn't afford it? My, 29 male, cousin, 26 female, is currently in financial trouble because she moved into a house that is way out of her budget. She has no steady job, relies on odd jobs here and there, and has a terrible spending habit. Like, she buys $6 lattes every day and eats out constantly. I warned her before she signed the lease that this place was too expensive, but she insisted she deserves a nice place. Fast forward 3 months, she can't pay the rent. She's now asking me, who has my own bills, student loans, and rent to cover, for money just until she gets back on her feet. I said no. I told her I love her, but I warned her from the start that this house was too expensive and I can't be her safety net every time she makes a bad decision. She flips out and called me a fake cousin, a snob, and said I was letting her become homeless. Now her mom is calling me saying I'm heartless and family should help each other. I feel like I'm being emotionally blackmailed for her financial irresponsibility. Am I the asshole for refusing to cover the rent on a house I warned her she couldn't afford? Ah, yes, the classic, why aren't you helping your family out? I mean, are you doing anything? No? Okay, then shut the hell up. I will say that a minor pet peeve of mine is when someone blames someone's financial status on their irresponsible purchases such as avocado toast and a latte. As long as that's within your budget and you can afford to do so and you're not putting your monthly bills at risk, that's not harming your financial upward mobility. And what I mean by that is the constant boomer slogan of these kids these days can't buy a house because they purchase avocado toast every morning. But in my opinion, what OP's mentioning with his cousin is different than boomers blaming a single latte and a morning snack on the entire impoverishment of an incoming generation. Because if you don't have a stable job and you're actively behind on rent, but you're still doing $6 lattes daily as well as, eating out constantly, then yeah, you should definitely reevaluate your choices on how you're spending your money because that money could definitely be going towards helping you pay your rent on a house that you're renting that's out of your budget. that you're now asking for family for help on that warned you that this was out of your budget. Personal responsibility's a bit of a bitch, huh? Cross post from r/bestof by Afterheart4755. The original poster is ThrowRA Resentment32, posted on r/relationship advice November 6th, 2021. The original title has unfortunately been lost to time, but the best of post is simply titled, Man Cheats on His Wife and His Daughters Hate Him for It. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for the absurd age gap and the way we started, and I agree, and I deserve it, but I would really like some genuine advice past going to counseling. She won't agree, and I can't afford it anyways. Tangible things that I can work on and introduce to help with this either as a couple or as effective co-parents. Long story short, my ex-wife and I were together since middle school. We have 4 daughters in their teens. I was a stay-at-home dad and part-time worker for most of my life until my youngest was in middle school. My ex agreed to invest in a passion project business of mine. I hired a receptionist. We started an affair, and she baby-trapped me. Now we're living together and have a young son. She resents me because she feels she was fooled. She saw me as a business owner who had a nice car, nice clothes, took her to nice places, etc. She thought I was rich, so she got pregnant on purpose. Admitted it, not an assumption. Hoping to use me to not work and sponsor her family from overseas. Well, actually, my ex-wife and her family are the rich ones. None of our homes were in our names. We were renting from her parents and giving them a nominal fee, with the exception that these homes would be left to my ex and me after their death. This allowed my ex's salary, $150K, not huge in the Hygh COL area, to stretch, and we lived a really good life. I left our marriage with half our savings, $25K, and my personal property and car. I lost my business due to lack of funding, and I did not seek alimony. I resent her because I feel I was fooled. I thought she loved me and couldn't believe the interest a young, hot woman showed in me. She was incredibly persistent and pursued me strongly, but she has no feelings for me, no care or desire. Now that the ruse is dropped, I can't believe I gave up my entire life for what I see was an ego trip. I loved my ex-wife. Really, I did, and still do. But I had never been with another woman, and any attempts to open our relationship were shot down. This was like a wet dream come true, and I was weak. Now both me and my girlfriend are in a place we didn't imagine. She's living in a shitty apartment with an old man and still has no work. I've lost my kids, the love of my life, my family, my lifestyle, my business, and it's all 100% my own fault. She stopped being intimate with me as soon as she found out I wasn't rich. We're still together on my end because I feel like I need to have something to show for this shit show of a situation. At least I got a son and a partner out of it. At least it wasn't for nothing. And also because I don't trust her with our son. She would never agree to give me full custody, and she's not a good mother. I would be worried for his safety and the people she would have him around. I honestly don't know why she hasn't left me from her end. What can I do to improve this situation? I know logically it'd be best to break up and co-parent, but I'm afraid for my son, and I'm embarrassed for myself. Is there a way to salvage this situation? I'm thinking of just telling her we can have an open relationship. She can sleep with whomever she wants and go wherever she wants as long as she lives here, so I can have my son 100% of the time. I work from home. I don't know if that's the answer here though. First update, November 14th, 2021. I had an affair. My ex-wife divorced me and my kids absolutely refused to speak to me. I was an incredibly involved dad. Most of their lives I worked 1 to 2 days a week and then stayed home with them the rest. I was closer to them than their mom, and I'd like to think I've never disappointed them before this. I made a mistake. It's been over 2 years since it all came out, and I haven't been able to make any headway. My eldest is hung up on the fact that I now have a young son. Every firstborn of each generation of my family has been a boy for a long time, and she broke the streak. I honestly could not care less about that. I've always thought that pressure was stupid, and I'm not a traditionally masculine guy that always wanted a boy. But she's so hurt that I have a son and is convinced that's all I ever wanted, and he's replaced her and my daughters. None of that is true. All of my girls said they don't consider themselves to have a brother and want nothing to do with him. All 4 of them feel betrayed and blame me for breaking up our family. I deserve the blame. It's my fault and I take responsibility, but I can't change the past and I don't know how I can begin to make up for it. My ex has full custody of them, but I'm supposed to have visitation 1 weekend a month. They're all in therapy, and it was suggested to not enforce the visitation and respect their boundaries while they work through it. I've done that the entire time, and there's no progress made. Does anyone have any suggestions about what I can do here? My ex absolutely hates me, but was always supportive of the girls staying in contact with me. She's respected their wishes, but still gives me updates once in a while. My eldest is turning 18 soon and graduating this coming year, and probably moving away for university. I feel like the time to make up with her, especially, is slipping away. I know I'm the shitty person here. I was a terrible husband, but I was honestly a really good dad, and I miss my girls. Has anyone been through something like this? How did it turn out? What are your suggestions? User asks OP if he fought for custody. OP responds, I did fight for custody, but they were all old enough that the court considered their preference in the situation and only granted me visitation. A part of that was also because I didn't have the means to get a place large enough for all 4 girls. My son, my girlfriend, and myself. I still don't have room for them in my current apartment, and being a mostly stay-at-home dad did not give me the experience/education to get a good enough job to support them here. If I had the choice, I would have chosen my ex and family over my affair partner. User asks OP if his affair partner is his son's mother. OP responds, she is. I got baby-trapped during the affair, something she admitted, which I know makes this much worse. I think I could have maintained a relationship with my girls even after the divorce if I didn't have to stay with my affair partner and didn't have a new baby. User tells OP that he abandoned his family for a girl half his age, so he couldn't expect them to want anything to do with them. To which OP responds, I didn't abandon them. I didn't leave my family for my girlfriend. I wanted to stay with my girl and my ex and work this out. My ex refused because the girls already knew about the affair and it wouldn't be setting a good example. And there was going to be another child involved that she wanted nothing to do with. But to be clear, I would have stayed with my family after the affair if given the choice. The affair was a stupid mistake born out of curiosity since my ex was the only woman I've ever been with. It was not something I was committed to or wanted to continue long term. User asks OP if he and his ex had a conversation about exploring their sexuality and why did he sought the affair. OP responds, I brought this up before and we did have honest conversations about it. We'd been together since middle school and had been each other's first and only. She loved that. She had no curiosity about other people and thought it was special that we'd only had sex with each other. And she's a very monogamous person in general. Couldn't even handle the thought of me being with someone else. If I wanted to be with someone else, it would have to be as a single man. I didn't seek an affair. My girlfriend pursued me strongly, and it just happened. She got pregnant quite early into it. I didn't really plan on anything. Top response for this comment, just happened, huh? You accidentally fell into her vagina? User asks OP why he won't separate from his affair partner. OP, I have to stay with her because she's a bad mother, and I don't trust her with our son. If we split up, then she would have him at least 50% of the time. I would have left a long time ago if not for that. Second update, January 26th, 2022. Good news! My girlfriend and I have broken up. She's gone back to her home country and left my son with me. Refused to sign any formal custody agreement, so I'm hoping she stays there and doesn't bother us again. I'm pretty sure if she comes back and demands time with him, I have a good case for maintaining custody. She's not even interested in FaceTiming with him, so he remembers her. I feel bad that my son will deal with a shitty/absent mother, but I hope I can get him into therapy as he grows. The bad news, I've tried my best to insist on visitation with my daughters, and that has fallen through. They absolutely refuse to see me. They wrote me a letter together that says how much they hate me, how betrayed they feel, how they'll never forgive me, and how my son will never be their brother. To not even bother telling him about them because they'll never be interested in knowing him, just to forget about them altogether and move on with my new family. I have no legal recourse. The youngest is 13 now, old enough to have a say in custody arrangements, and I don't think forcing them to see me would do any favors long-term anyways. They also included pictures of their mother's wedding. My ex has no obligation to tell me about her personal life, but I'm pretty pissed that there's a man living with my daughters that I didn't know about. It is a family friend that has been in their lives for 10 plus years, so not a total stranger, but still hurt to see pictures of their recent wedding and family pictures with my daughters. They mention that they have a father figure and don't need me anyways. The whole thing really hurt. I know I have no rights to feel hurt that my ex has moved on when I cheated on her, but their whole relationship has moved very fast, so I'm now wondering if they started it before we got divorced. No way to know now, doesn't matter anyways. My ex agreed to keep me up to date and send me pictures of my daughters once in a while. After dealing with my son's mom, I'm grateful. She's so good to our girls and I don't have to worry about their well-being. I'm trying to focus on being a good dad to my son and patiently waiting for my girls to grow up and reach out. It may never happen, but I'm hopeful that they will understand me more as they become adults and gain context for life. Top comment on this post: man ruined his life to get his dick wet for 5 minutes. Damn, dude, you used to have it all. A loving wife, daughters, but you went and y'all gave it up just so you could go and get it up. Something, hell of a boss. I do have empathy for the position he's in of just seeing everything around him collapsing and just wondering how he could fix it after the mistake that he made. That doesn't mean that I think that he's in the right or what he did was the correct choice or he's even justified. I just empathize with the fact that he's in a situation where everything around him is crumpled and there's no way for him to pick up the pieces and he just has to push on and move forward. Because he did this to himself. He can try to blame his secretary for, baby trapping and all that kind of stuff, but he reciprocated. He fell for the trap and was unfaithful to his wife and his family, the family that loved him dearly. And this is just the consequences of those actions. You quite literally fucked around, and you're finding out. The most you can do is respect your daughter's wishes, respect your ex's wishes, respect the fact that they're moving on, and do what you can to move on and move forward. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSups. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup. And you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.